We have some very interesting news that's coming out here. The Las Vegas Raiders minority owner Tom Brady has officially met with quarterback Matthew Stafford at his home in Montana. Very interesting report coming out here by Jordan Schultz. There's a couple of different moving pieces to this story that we're going to get into in this video. We had a report from Deanna Rossini earlier today, and this one's completely separate than what we're hearing, but it seems like the Las Vegas Raiders are legitly interested in bringing in Matthew Stafford, and I'm very excited about this, man. I think Matthew Stafford is such a great quarterback for where the Raiders are right now, specifically with the coaching staff. But Jordan Schultz, a very good reporter. There was a story where people weren't 100% sure, right? Hey, did Malcolm Koonce actually tear his ACL? Did he not? Some people were like, hey, it's like a broken leg. He'll be back. And Jordan Schultz was the guy that actually put it out there saying Malcolm Koonce tore his ACL. He's done for the season. And I said, hey, there's been conflicting reports. Is that true? And he said, I am 100% confident in that. Malcolm Koonce is done for the year. That's exactly what ended up happening, right? But Jordan Schultz, to me, is a really good source. And he's basically putting it out there that Raiders minority owner Tom Brady recently hosted Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford at his home in Montana, where they spent time together. They went skiing. Brady has been actively trying to convince Stafford to join the Raiders, and discussions are ongoing. Several teams are interested in Stafford if the Rams decide to move him, with Las Vegas believed to be the most aggressive suitor. So this dropped here about an hour back. Ian Rappaport went ahead and also, put his own report in there as well. Ian Rappaport dropped his report about 30 minutes later. Schultz was first. Ian Rappaport dropped this second. He said Raiders minority owner Tom Brady and Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford ran into each other at a ski resort in Montana, sources say. The meeting, unplanned, was not extensive or in-depth and did not include Brady hosting or recruiting Stafford, despite reports saying otherwise. And Schultz went ahead and decided he's going to follow up on that as well. And he said, if you think Tom Brady and Matthew Stafford just happened to run into each other at a ski resort in Montana, of all places, at the exact same time, I've got a bridge to sell you. They were together over the weekend. It happened. Multiple teams are interested in Stafford, and Brady has been leading the charge to get him to the Raiders if the Rams decide to trade him. I'm going to believe what Jordan Schultz says in this. Now, we do have to take a step back, right? We do have to realize that although the Rams have given Matthew Stafford the freedom to go seek a trade, I'm not 100% sure if the Raiders are allowed to actually meet with him and actually talk to him and actually start to recruit him. I don't know if that's 100% allowed at this point, although the Rams have told Matthew Stafford, go ahead and kind of find your own trade target, right? Or at least trade destination. But when Jordan Schultz is putting it out there that Tom Brady hosted Matthew Stafford at his home in Montana, to me, that's a fact, right? That's not a random meetup. That's not something that just happened to happen. Tom Brady is recruiting Matthew Stafford to come to the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are actually interested in him, right? This is not just some random report. The fact that they're actually hosting him, right? Or Tom Brady's actually hosting Matthew Stafford, to me tells me that Mark Davis has told Tom Brady, hey, go get Matthew Stafford. Pete Carroll and John Spytek have given Tom Brady the heads up. Go make it happen. One of the interesting things that happened yesterday at the Combine was that both John Spytek and Pete Carroll talked at the Combine, right? They answered questions, and both of them got asked about Tom Brady, and they gave two kind of separate answers, right? John Spytek said, hey, Tom Brady is, he's available, right? Like, he's available. We can talk to him. But he never at any point said, hey, he's in the building every single day. He's working hand in hand. Right? John Spytek kind of, I don't want to say he shut off Tom Brady, but he kind of said that, hey, like, Tom Brady's not really in charge. And then Pete Carroll, on the other hand, said, hey, Tom Brady is like, we talk all the time. I forget the exact words that he put out there. But Pete Carroll basically implied, like, Tom Brady is super involved. The wording was that Tom Brady kind of makes himself available at all times, right? He didn't necessarily say we always are talking. But it was kind of the opposite, right, of one another. But what's interesting is if Tom Brady's actually recruiting Matthew Stafford, that would have to have came from John Spytek, right? Like, I wouldn't think that is something that is just happening. Tom Brady just kind of goes out there, right? But it does seem like the Raiders are actually interested in Matthew Stafford, and I think this would be phenomenal for the Raiders. I wanted to show you guys what Deanna Rossini also reported earlier. She reported this 5-6 hours back, right? So this report is a little bit older at this point, but I think this report, the fact that it came well before any of the other reports, to me tells me this is a good source right here, right? Deanna Rossini said that Matthew Stafford's exploration of his market value the last few weeks has indeed attracted significant interest from teams, notably the Raiders and the Giants per sources. So Deanna Rossini is saying that, teams have obviously been interested, but two teams have given significant interest, which has been the Las Vegas Raiders and the New York Giants. Now, we have to realize something when it comes to the NFL draft. The Tennessee Titans have the number 1 overall pick. They're going to take Cam Ward. There's just no way around it. The Cleveland Browns have the number 2 overall pick. They might take a quarterback, but they are locked into Deshaun Watson, so I think chances are they won't take a quarterback. At least this year, right? They might wait a year or two. Deshaun Watson's contract's fully guaranteed for the next, I think, 2 or 3 years. And then at number 3, you got the New York Giants. The Giants will probably have, the chance at the second quarterback in this class, and it seems like the Giants, however, are still interested in Matthew Stafford as opposed to whoever that quarterback is. And to me, that's interesting as hell. And it's also interesting because the Raiders are another team interested in Matthew Stafford, right? And yesterday, Pete Carroll told us, he said, hey, we're in win now mode, right? He basically said, we're not looking to build for the future. We're looking to win a Super Bowl today. And, a lot of people are going to say, hey, what does win now mode mean, right? Isn't that what you're in at all times, year round? You're always just trying to win. You're not, right? You're not always in win now mode, right? Some teams will say, hey, we're gonna tank. We're going to draft all of our assets, and we're going to look to build for, 3 or 4 years down the line. We had the Bears kind of take this approach, and it obviously worked for them really, really well. They're in a great spot at this point. We've seen a team like the Panthers kind of take the same approach. We'll see where the Panthers are next year, right? They look pretty good at the end of last year. And, then you got teams that are like, hey, we want to kind of sell some of these assets. We want to retool. We want to just kind of get right back to it, right? Like the Saints, for example. And the Saints go with, veteran quarterback 1, the veteran quarterback 2. And then you have teams that are like, hey, we're going to sit back and we're going to just kind of build this out long term. The Raiders are a great example of this, right? Let's not go all in on a quarterback, although the Raiders have needed a quarterback for years. Let's not go all in on a quarterback. Let's just kind of build it out, right? Let's try to hit on some of these picks. Let's try to get into a good spot. Maybe build a really, really good team. And it's never really worked for the Raiders, right? Anytime we do draft guys that are legit, like Malcolm Koonce and Trayvon Merrick, anytime we draft guys like that, you have to try to win when those guys are rookies, because when Malcolm Koonce costs $18 million, that's not very beneficial for a team. And I think the Raiders right now are kind of in that mind, right? Jackson Powers-Johnson will be the highest paid center in 4 years. Brock Bowers will be the highest paid tight end in 5 years. Right? These guys are going to get absolute huge contracts. Maxx Crosby's going to, he's already in that point. But the Raiders, if they try to win now, it's a little bit different, right? You go all in right now with some rookie contracts. You go all in trying to win right now. You have the 6th overall pick. That's another potential star you kind of add right then and there. The Raiders can go all in and they can win today. And, never overlook the fact that the Raiders coaching staff today is better than we've had in the last 20 years at any point, right? Because not only do we have a guy on the defensive side in Pete Carroll that's, he's going to lead the defensive side. But the defensive coordinator we have in Patrick Graham has also done a phenomenal job, right? Patrick Graham's a hot commodity as a defensive coordinator. He's legit, right? He runs an elite scheme on the defensive side of the football. And you don't generally have on a staff where you have a really, really elite side of both sides of the football. Patrick Graham, really, really good defensive coordinator. Pete Carroll, defensive guy. He's your head coach. Just really solid on that side of the football. But then even on the offensive side, right, you don't get what the Raiders have right now as a coaching staff all that often. Chip Kelly is a really, really good, well-respected offensive mind. The opportunity he had in the NFL with the Eagles, right? 4 years, he led 2 top 5 offenses. I think the other year was like top 12, and then the other year was like top 15. So he still had a good offense for pretty much all 4 of those years that he was with the Eagles. And then he went to UCLA. UCLA ranked, I think, top 30th in points per game for college. And keep in mind, college is different than the NFL, right? The playing field's not even. UCLA, it's kind of going to be kind of rough for them to actually end up being good. Top 30 is really good for that program, right? And then when he went to Ohio State 1 year, that offense kind of carried them at the end of the year, and they won a national championship, right? Chip Kelly's a well-respected coach, and he knows how to install an offense. Something that not every offensive play caller and offensive mind can kind of do. Shane Waldron had his opportunity with the Bears, didn't work out. He wasn't able to kind of install it the right way. And maybe that was partly because he didn't have a Pete Carroll kind of helping him. We saw Luke Getsy with the Raiders and even the Bears before that really struggle to install in offense and install that side of the football. Chip Kelly's done it, right? So the Raiders have a great coaching staff right now, and I think it makes sense to go all in and try to win that Super Bowl today, right? Like, the Washington Commanders went from having the number 2 overall pick to being in the championship game. 3 years ago, the Houston Texans drafted C.J. Stroud, and they went to back-to-back playoffs. When did the Texans make the playoffs prior to that, right? I think they had one good year with Deshaun Watson, and then ever since they became a franchise, they haven't had a lot of success, right? But you get C.J. Stroud, and you're number 2 overall pick to back-to-back playoff appearances. The Raiders have a great coaching staff. They have some solid pieces. They would have to obviously fix a couple things up. But you have the number 6 overall pick. You have the number 37 overall pick. Both of those picks should land you good quality starters. At number 6, you can get the best corner. You can get the best wide receiver. And then in the second round, just like last year with Jackson Powers-Johnson, you can get the best center or guard in this class, or you can even land a really, really talented defensive tackle. D tackles, interior offensive linemen in the second round is a really good spot to bring those guys in. So the Raiders can do so much in their first 2 picks this year. You get 2 starters that are difference makers, right? And then that doesn't include the fact that you have 2 picks in the third round. Third round is generally, if you're a good general manager, third round is where you get starting caliber players. And they might not be superstars. You're not going to get Maxx Crosby, right? Or Maxx Crosby's a bad example. But, you're not going to get, Penei Sewell in the third round. But what you can get is you can get a guy like DJ Glaze who might be able to start in his rookie year and just be a productive player, right? A guy where you can kind of upgrade at that position, right? And you can get that in the third round. So for the Raiders, you go all in this year with Matthew Stafford as your quarterback. You can make a push. You just got to fix a couple of things. And I think for the Raiders, instead of sitting back and saying, let's build for 20 years down the line, which we've been doing for years, let's go all in, man. Give the guy $50 million, whatever he wants on an average value. Do note, right, we're not going to incur $50 million cap hits. It'll be like $25 million this year, $30 next year, $50 in year 3, and then we'll have 2 void years, right, where we'll just kind of eat cap for the 3 years we had Stafford. Because those 3 years that you have Stafford, you might win a championship. You never know what ends up happening. You built an elite defensive line, which the Raiders could kind of get there if they bring back Koonce, which Pete Carroll mentioned that was a priority for him to be able to bring back Malcolm. You shored up, add a couple more pieces. This Raiders team could be legit, man. I know some people won't agree with that, but I think they could be legit. Absolutely love the fact that Tom Brady is actually going out there and recruiting quarterbacks. Today it's Matthew Stafford. Tomorrow it could be another quarterback. It might be a guy in the draft. We don't really know. But it seems like the Raiders want to go down this approach. They want to bring in a veteran quarterback, and I'm 100% here for it. Plus, Matthew Stafford can also help develop some of the younger quarterbacks on the roster. Carter Bradley, Aiden O'Connell, right? Matthew Stafford can kind of help develop those guys. And we'll see what we have in those guys in 4 or 5 years, right? So let me know what you guys think, man. Thumbs up, subscribe if you're not subscribed. I'm excited for this very, very interesting report. Let me know what you guys think, man. Drop a comment down below, and I will see you guys next time with another video.